seeking obedience from bureaucracy and even ministers. Such usurpation of authority, such incursion in the corridors of power by unauthorized persons is antithetical to democracy, and I pleaded, time to sanitize power corridors of intruders and hermits so as to restore rule of law. Third issue which I flagged, collapsing rule of law with orchestrated political killings, fake cases, political vendetta, ruthless killing of opposition, and most unfortunately, the police, supposed to be protector of human rights, has become severe threat to these. The fourth issue that I raised, government is functioning on police crutches. Friends, you know it more than I do. Let the government try for a moment to be without crutches, and let us see how long it travels. So government is functioning on police crutches. Accountability of public servants to rule of law and constitution has given way. It has collapsed, and they are in servitude, in virtual crawl mode before even extra constitutional authorities. I am sure vigilant members of the media will appreciate my pain. The next, and this is unique to the state of West Bengal, our state, mounting electronic surveillance. I am sure there may not be a single soul who is not aware of it. Violating all rules, all regulations and directives. And what is the result? Due to this surveillance, political, administrative, business, police of all use are obliged to use WhatsApp and FaceTime as a mode of voice communication. This electronic surveillance has converted our state into FaceTime state. Friends, the sixth issue which I raised, all the trappings of police state, and mark my words, police state and democracy do not go together. Police state is the first enemy of democracy. They are evidenced here. In plenty, in ample measure, police is ever in action mode to knock at the door of political opponents on extra legal premise. My friends from the media are not free from this knock. Try your luck. Ask an inconvenient question through SMS, through email, or in a press conference. Put ground reality on a Facebook or on a Twitter, and you will find your first servant, the governor, the constitutional head, is 100% right. Seventh issue, and the last one that I raised, was police working distanced from rule of law and constitution. Why? They go by command, which has political orientation, political purpose. They become foot soldiers of political party. They are carrying out their errands. They are discharging those obligations. Extreme discrimination. And what is extreme discrimination? Persecution of the opposition. Anyone in opposition will be ruthlessly killed and grant immunity to ruling party hermits. Now let me come to the Constitution of India. Before that, what is the response of the DGP to all these issues? Just have a look at it. Before you read what it is, reflect for a moment the 7 issues that I addressed. And what does the DGP say? Please focus on it. My heart sank. I couldn't believe my eyes. How could DGP be so arrogant, so dismissive, so callous? Constitutional head was inviting his attention. Constitutional head was telling him, these are the problems. And look at his courage, what he says. I submit that the West Bengal Police firmly adheres to the path laid down by law. Mr. DGP, Mr. Virender, the first servant of the state, the governor, doesn't agree with you. And let me enlighten you, there are no takers of this statement, not even a single taker, unless he or she is in bondage. How could such a dismissive statement be given to the constitutional head? And second, there is no discrimination for or against anyone in an extra legal sense. I was pained. I was disturbed. The issue had to be taken to the logical end. And therefore, let me first invite your attention to what does the Constitution say. I have taken oath under the Constitution, under Article 159. Friends, a debate is being raised. Why the governor is doing this? It has not been done on earlier occasions. Is he crossing his limits? Is it expected of him? I therefore want to reach out to the people of the state of West Bengal through my friends in the journalism. Look at my oath. What does it say? I will faithfully execute the office of governor, will to the best of my ability preserve, protect and defend the Constitution and the law. Friends, this is one part. It is whose duty to preserve, protect and defend. Constitution says, I have to do it. If your rights are violated, if you are arrested without a cause, the governor can't sleep. But the second part is more important. I will devote myself to the service and well-being of the people of West Bengal. I pause here for a minute. I dare say, and I repeat, I dare say, those who think I am acting beyond this, please write to me. I will correct myself. All my actions are within the four corners of this oath. This is the oath I have to vindicate. This is the duty I have to discharge. Now, what is the oath the Honorable Chief Minister has taken? See for a minute. I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established. I repeat, Honorable the Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has taken on oath. I will bear true faith and allegiance to Constitution of India as by law established. Madam Chief Minister, all that is happening in our state gives no indication that you are living up to your oath. I don't find this happening. Most of you may observe silence, but your silence resonates in my ears. The oath is outraged. Discrimination is the first part of it. Political vendetta is the second part of it. Political killing is the third part of it. Violation of human rights is yet another, and many more. Now, the Honorable Chief Minister wants the governor to be a post office, to be a rubber stamp, to fiddle in Raj Bhavan. I therefore wish to remind the Honorable Chief Minister, what does the Constitution say? And kindly come to Article 167. Friends, this article is in the Indian Constitution. Look at its caption. Duties of Chief Minister as respects the furnishing of information to Governor. It shall be duty of the Chief Minister. And Madam Chief Minister, I am not saying so. Founding fathers of the Indian Constitution are saying so. And what is A? To communicate to Governor of the state all decisions of Council of Ministers relating to administration of the affairs of the state and proposals of legislation. B. Now B is a big catch. To furnish such information relating to the administration of the affairs of the state and proposal of legislation as the Governor may call for. I have asked number of informations in writing, including on Bengal Global Business Summit, including on IFB, including on Amphan relief, including on PDS. No response. How can we have such a situation that a duty cast by the Constitution is so ignored, so continually ignored, and ignored against public interest, ignored to hide, ignored to raise iron curtain, ignored so that people may not know the real picture. Why, Madam Chief Minister? Constitution expects you to perform this duty. You should do it. That has not been done. Friends, sub-article C of Article 167 is very important. Focus on it. If the Governor so requires, to submit for consideration of the Council of Ministers any matter on which decision has been taken by a minister but has not been considered by the Council. Let me tell you, if a minister takes a decision and that is not approved by the Council of Ministers, it is my duty, my obligation, my solemn duty to protect the interest of people, I can ask, okay, Minister, including Chief Minister, you have taken a decision. Please take the decision to the Council of Ministers. I had requested earlier, and one is pending. No response to the earlier one. The pending one is, I don't know why State of West Bengal government wants to be middleman in PM Kisan. For what good earthly reason? Give the money to us, we'll give it to the farmer. Irrational, not prudent economics, going against culture of the scheme, going against national mood, going for maximum government, minimum governance. What we want is minimum government, maximum governance. Purpose of the scheme is only one, direct transfer, no middleman, no commission in between, no cut. And Chief Minister has written, give the amount to us. I hope she takes it to the cabinet. But article is very emphatic. There is no escape. Now, there are rules of business under Article 166 under the Constitution, and they were framed before I became governor. They are there in the rule book. And what does it say, Rule 27? I'm inviting attention because there is 100% violation of this rule. For more than 13 months, your first servant, after inviting attention at all levels, making all efforts, has got no response. What does it say? Copies of all official communications received from Government of India shall, as soon as possible after such receipt, be submitted by the Secretary of Department concerned to the Minister of in charge. Copies of such communications shall also be sent to the Chief Minister and the Governor for information. They are sent to the Chief Minister. None has been sent to the Governor so far. A terrible situation that doesn't obtain anywhere else in the country. Next, if the communication is sent from government to the central government, the provision is similar. Friends, not my words on a point of fact. Not a single communication under Rule 27, either from Delhi to West Bengal government or from West Bengal government to Delhi, has been shared with the governor. Mandate of the law has been violated. Rule 30, which is the same as Article 167, 100% violation. Now the Honorable Chief Minister says, Mr. Governor, what are you talking from? We are in a land where स्वर्ग है, यहाँ तो कोई समस्या नहीं है, आपको जानकारी कौन देता है? I therefore, as illustration in parliamentary democracy, leader of the opposition is most important person. On 10th June 2020, Shri Abdul Menon writes to Honorable Chief Minister. Accordingly, and you will know the situation, 10th June, of Serampur police station, Mr. So-and-so was personally informed by me, but his behavior shocked me to the core. Now what does leader of opposition say? I was intimidated and threatened. He is not an ordinary man, a senior politician, leader of opposition, intimidated by a junior police officer, threatened with consequences. For what? Committing theft, dacoity? No. Consequences for being part of demonstration. And then Mr. Abdul Manan says, an extremely deplorable and rare experience in my 55 years in public life. Most of you may not be having that age. A man who has put in 55 years. The Honorable Chief Minister did not reply to his letter. Therefore, he wrote to me. When he wrote to me, I invited him. I was literally in tears. If this could happen by a junior police officer to leader of the opposition, after having put in 55 years of public service, and the Chief Minister is not replying to his communication, I wrote to the Chief Minister on 14 July. After inviting attention to his, I said, I am also getting equally disturbing reports that MPs and senior leaders of opposition political parties are being similarly threatened by police. Some of them have indicated to me that posting of police officials is with a mandate to effect humiliation and intimidation of opposition MPs and leaders. You, I am appealing to the Honorable Chief Minister, you with your long political career agree that such approach has no place in democracy. And then I urge the Honorable Chief Minister on the next page, I would thus urge you, the governor of the state, the constitutional head, moved by the plight of leader of opposition, is writing to the Chief Minister. I would urge you to issue directives to the administration and police in the state to act as per law with political neutrality and show due respect to MPs, elected representatives and leaders of political parties, and desist from acting in my partisan manner. Now, 1 second. No response. Where are we heading? Chief Minister doesn't reply to leader of opposition. Chief Minister doesn't reply to the governor. Is it not lawlessness? Is it not anarchy? Is it not unconstitutional? Is it not undemocratic? Is our head not lowered in shame? It is. And I am not surprised, because the Honorable Chief Minister had earlier exchange of letters with me. On 2nd May 2020, she writes, look at her understanding. Look at what she feels about the governor's role. And she says, you may, it is in her letter, within bracket, politely, bring your grievance to my attention, within bracket, not to write to ministers, department officers, or to go to the press or public. She is writing to whom? To the governor. As if I have feet of clay and I am wearing kid gloves. Madam Chief Minister, a governor cannot have kid gloves. A governor cannot have feet of clay. What are you talking? Where do you get these crazy ideas from? These are indications of despotism. They are not democratic in content. And then says, you put your grievance to me, don't go to media, don't go to public, Don't go to my officers. And she knows how best to protect them. If it is still not resolved to your satisfaction, there is unfortunately no other power in you so long as my government commands the confidence of the legislature. I lament this poor understanding of the Constitution. Our Constitution is of checks and balances. No one has complete power with oneself. We have institutions. Here, of course, institutions are throttled. Chairman of the Human Rights Commission says, I am on ventilator. I am in ICU. I am not functional. I cannot be functional for 4 years. Now, if a chief minister says so, I am reminded of Rabindranath Tagore. Kavi Guru, I have read enough of him before coming to the state of West Bengal. A giant history has ever recognized. A man who makes us proud, who motivates us, inspires us. Where the mind is without fear, well, it is not. We are in a situation where mind is full of fear. Head is held high. Head is in shame. In such kind scenario, friends, in such kind difficult situation, faced with the grim reality, to serve the people of the state of West Bengal, I had no option but to make one last effort. I will never give up. It is not my duty to give up. It is my duty to keep on trying, because I am trying not for myself. I am trying for the people of the state of West Bengal. I am trying to defend, preserve and protect Indian Constitution. I cannot afford to fail. The misconception the Honorable Chief Minister has about my role, it is for her to correct herself, not for me. I therefore have written a communication to the Honorable Chief Minister, and let me put that to you for final situation. I am indeed astonished at your September 26 communication, which you all know was circulated to the media. Major part of which is replication, mark my words, of the 9 pages, major part is replication of the role of governor, issues connected thereto, from earlier communication of May 2. She had written to me on 2nd May also. It is replication. I have told her that I have already replied to you on May 4. Next. Sadly, Madam Chief Minister, you have chosen to take untenable alibi of constitutional provisions, calling the governor mere executive nominee, a mere spectator, to explain abdication. To explain what? Abdication of core police responsibility of the DGP. It was least expected from you on such a sensitive aspect. As governor, I am neither post office nor rubber stamp. I am a stakeholder, not in politics, but surely in governance. And why? To ensure it conforms to constitutionalism. State affairs concerning law and order, health and finance. Law and order, health and finance. State affairs on these aspects could not have been more alarming as now. It was in this perspective I invoked thoughts of Kavi Guru, governance of B.C. Roy, and alerted you, Madam Chief Minister, regarding Hirak Raja Dashe. The message, unfortunately, seems to not have been impactful. Significantly, you have found it convenient to sidetrack and skirt all the issues flagged to the DGP. Friends, you have noted more than half a dozen. Leaving no doubt, when you skirt an issue, a conclusion emanates. Leaving no doubt that the alarming law and order situation and deeply politicized stance of police are undefendable by you, Madam Chief Minister. If you had a defense, you would have responded to these 7 issues. What is your communication? Your communication, in a sense, is in defense of the DGP. It was similar defense which was earlier for Kolkata COP. That time it was physical. This time it is by way of a letter. That time history was created because no chief minister by then had done so. Eyebrows were raised. I have then cautioned the Honorable Chief Minister. And please mark my words. I have written in my communication to shield those who need to be held accountable signals death knell of democratic governance, a situation that is writing on the wall, a situation that is staring us. Madam Chief Minister, I have invited her attention. This is not in consonance with your oath that calls upon you. You have seen it, to bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established. I have no doubt, debate the role of the governor, discuss it. But then is it appropriate, Madam Chief Minister, that you are not answerable to your people? You are justifying DGP's inactions, acts of omission. Your defense of the DGP vindicates my assertion that the government is on police crutches. This is virtually an admission. What did I ask the DGP? I didn't ask for moon. I asked him why the police under him has failed to protect lives of the property of the citizens. Why are you not giving them safe environment, public order and tranquility? And this is a duty guaranteed in the Indian Constitution and also guaranteed in any democratic form. Finding the situation alarming, and friends, you know it, it is an open secret. I fail to appreciate, Madam Chief Minister, what is wrong, what is amiss. If the governor of the state wants DGP to elaborate and explain the deteriorating law and order situation in the wake of political violence, political vendetta, ruthless quelling of opposition, incessant extortion by syndicates, you know it all. Know it rather too well and for too long. And syndicates are on free run, unchecked by any authority. Frequent hurling of bombs. Situation has become explosive because Maoism is raising its head and terror outfits in the state have been noticed to a dangerous level. How sad and worrisome, Madam Chief Minister, that in such a situation, in such a grim, alarming, lawlessness, critical situation, the Honorable Chief Minister is playing on front foot. For what? To oppose that the governor can't ask DGP why this state of affairs and says I am encroaching into executive area. Madam Chief Minister, I don't agree with you. It is my prerogative to agree or not to agree. I don't agree with you because the Constitution doesn't allow me to agree. If I agree with you, I go against Constitution. I go against my oath. I violate my oath. I will not. I tell her, you are favoring me with the facts of all FIRs registered since 2016, provided to the NCRB would be an eye-opener. Since the DGP is not making available this information, why don't you do it? And you will come to know what happens to those who dare the powers that be on tolabaji, corruption, systematic santras. Each point I will deal with. Let them give information to me. Someone has to. Someone will. It is unavoidable. They can delay. Delay can't be long. Why people speak on FaceTime? I don't want to say more. But after I had become the governor, one of the first advice I had from the Honorable Chief Minister was, it will be good if we speak on WhatsApp and Face audio. That says it all. I have raised some issues with the Honorable Chief Minister. Can the Chief of Police of the state hide behind the Chief Minister for his inactions and omissions, failure to conform to law and conduct? Can or should this be allowed? Would it not be a murder of democracy? I am not in doubt. This cannot be countenanced. This can't be allowed. This goes against theme of the Indian Constitution and shall not be allowed. I have requested the Honorable Chief Minister, just ponder how frequently you flout the Indian Constitution, given to us by Baba Sahib, whose name she invokes out of context frequently. A travesty of justice. I want to make it known through media. I have written to her. I have never ever crossed the boundary of the legislative, political, executive and judiciary. I remain restricted and dictated by the Constitution. And if the Constitution gives me the right to ask the police to tell about the deteriorating law and order, I have to perform that duty, and then I am not wrong. I would do so undeterred. The relationship between me and the Chief Minister is decided not by us, not by individuals, not by Raj Bhavan or the government. It is decided by the Constitution you have seen. She is in breach to a great extent. I have therefore slightly cautioned her. There can be no denying the explosive decline in situation of law and order in the state. Going by recent revelations of terror modules, functioning the situation is now beyond cliffhanging. I have pleaded with her, just for a change, Madam Chief Minister, get into objective neutral mode. Open your window, traverse the state incognito. You will find every reflection by the constitutional head, by me as governor, as first servant, is authentic mirroring of the pathetically alarming ground reality. Friends, there are certain sensitive issues I don't share with media. I have therefore written to her and indicated to her earlier also. Sensitive issues that I do not seek to put in print for fear of sensationalism as indicated to you, will be shared once you spare time to brief me. In the letter, she has imparted certain innuendos, reflections. One, I have indicated that I should politely tell not to talk with people, not to talk with public, not to talk to ministers, not to talk to bureaucrats, talk to her. If I am not satisfied, I must keep quiet. How wrong a chief minister can be, I can never imagine. I can never contemplate that where two of us have to work shoulder to shoulder. I have said empty times, Madam Chief Minister, let us work shoulder to shoulder. We have to serve in togetherness the people of the state of West Bengal. Let us not fail them. They are terribly suffering. They are in deep pain. They are in deep pain because of monumental mistakes that have been committed by government. Let us reverse that trend. I have therefore said, I urge you to take two constitutional stands, urgently initiate steps to contain this slide into lawlessness. I am sure you will bestow thoughtful consideration with an open mind so as to promote public good. And now my assurance to the people and to the government and to Madam Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. I assure you that as first servant of the people of the state and constitutionally enjoined to serve them, you will never find me wanting in support for the cause and welfare of the people. I am confident. I am urging her, pleading with her. For whom? For people of West Bengal. Dispassionately keeping genuine welfare of the people at heart. Reflect. Act as per Constitution. Take urgent steps to ensure political neutrality of the police. Enforce their accountability rather than be a shield to cover up their culpable transgressions of law and abdication of legitimate duties in favor of partisan political errands. Friends, often a question is asked, they are ignoring the governor for too long. In my own way, I am trying to salvage the situation. In my own way, I am trying to invite their attention. Framers of Indian Constitution were very wise, enormously wise. And I may be forced to take recourse to Article 154. Have a look at it. Have a look at 154. I want my friends in the media to focus only on sub-article 1. The executive power of the state shall be vested in the governor. Am I right? It's plain English language. And shall be exercised by him. Now there are two modes. Directly, I can do it myself, or through officers subordinate to him in accordance with this constitution. It has two things. Governments run on executive power. Like you have a new chief secretary today, your new home secretary today, your new finance secretary today. The present chief secretary who retires after long public service has also been made chairman. These are executive powers. They are in the name of the governor. The government doesn't tell me what they are doing. Either I don't come to know about it, or I come to know about it from the media. Now something being done in my name. I have a right. I'll tell them don't do it, I'll do it myself. And Rajbhavan will be flooded with cars of the government, one after the other, asking me to do this or that. I don't want to do it. But if someone thinks that office of governor is ornamental, rubber stamp, post office, emasculated, that is not so. This office has enough power to protect, preserve and defend Indian Constitution. And Madam Chief Minister, I, as first servant of the state of West Bengal, by virtue of being its governor and constitutional head, will not fail either the Indian Constitution or the people of West Bengal. I am sure they will reflect, introspect, and act in togetherness, in coordination, because in democracy, that is how constitutional functionaries must conduct their affairs. Friends, I would be saying one thing in the end. When we had Amphan and COVID, I could make a modest contribution, 50 lakhs for one and 10 lakhs for another. I made 5 lakhs contribution to PM fund, 10 to Madam Chief Minister's fund, and then 50 lakhs later on. The budgetary support to the Rajbhavan has been declined massively. I have no grievance. He must bear with it, you see. But we may not have enough funds to offer you biscuits along with tea. Today, I have been able to organize. Next time we have a press conference, I may have to offer you only liquor tea. And you know, my secretary asked the state government 2 things. One, to release the funds allocated, and made some additional amount requirement of 30-40 lakhs so that the entire year could be through. You notice the figure, 30-40 lakhs. A letter has come from additional Chief Secretary Home, a lucky day for him today, a man otherwise talented, soft-spoken man, will be Chief Secretary, to deny these 30-40 lakhs to Rajbhavan, which is a constitutional duty. I believe in being spendthrift. Governor in Rajbhavan is a teetotaler, vegetarian, non-alcoholic, of simple habits, comes from a village and has minimum requirements. What does he say? I am directed, which means ACS Home to be the Chief Secretary has been directed, obviously, by Madam the Chief Minister, Mamata Banerjee. The current financial year, there has been unprecedented disaster in the form of pandemic caused by COVID-19, and disaster has had serious implications for the state economy and state exchequer. Income has been seriously reduced. Expenditure for COVID management and public health has been unprecedentedly high in the given situation. Making funds available for the could not be addressed. क्या मजाक हो रहा है? पूरे फाइनेंस डिपार्टमेंट का नाला खोल रखा है मुख्यमंत्री ने। आप लोगों में भी साइलेंस फैल गया होगा। फ्री डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ मनी, एंड राजभवन के लिए 30-40 लाख नहीं है, और जो अलोकेटेड फंड है वो भी नहीं है। लेट मी वार्न द गवर्नमेंट एंड टेल द गवर्नमेंट, I shall not allow Raj Bhavan to be compromised. The government is in the wrong. This is unacceptable. This gives bad name, and this puts her in a wrong box. You have seen recently what has happened in last 3 months. During COVID, Honorable Chief Minister has appointed 2 advisors, and the governor asked salary of only one of them. Can you beat it? She remembers it. I am shocked. She is going against grain of Bengali culture. She is going against elegance of Bengalis. She doesn't know what we stand for in this state. She must learn constitutional obligations. She is far from it. Further, the entire Raj Bhavan is working with one IS and one state official. Rest are lower officials. Vacancies are more than 50%. Your first servant will continue to discharge his duties undaunted, undeterred, and fruitfully. Thank you so much for your patience and time.
নিউজ ফ্ল্যাশ নিবেদন করছে সফেদ